Yeah, it's a great win for the Trump team. A distraction that obviously was the intention of the Democrats all along. It wasn't necessarily to get a conviction. It was to keep him off the campaign trail, to spend millions upon millions of dollars having to defend himself in New York, in Georgia, in Florida, and all these other venues. It was a strategy, an election interference strategy that the Democrats have employed. And I haven't had a chance to read the order, but it's nice that he's not going to have to deal with another one of these weaponization of the federal government using this to interfere with the election in November.
Yeah, Congressman, it sounds like, I know we're a very slim majority and things like that, but I feel like this would be a great time for the House, the Republican-controlled House, to get behind the president here and pass some sort of legislation. I mean, look, force the Democrats on record, but you would think that they would want those protections themselves to say, hey, you can't come after people for dubious, at best, charges like this.
Well, and use the appropriations process to be able to end Jack Smith's investigation. We have the ability to do that, to end the FBI spying on American citizens through FISA. We had the ability to change that and to put warrant requirements on FISA, and the majority of the majority party, the Republicans, let that pass through. Like, why? We saw what happened with the Trump campaign. Why could we let something like that happen? It's just absolutely fascinating to me. When we ran and we got the majority, we were told from our leadership that we would use the appropriations process to win policy goals, because you can use that process because you control the money. Hey, you don't like Jack Smith's investigation or the way that the FBI is handling spying on American citizens without a warrant? Cut their funding. Do away with their funding. You don't like what the Department of Energy is doing and going after the domestic production in oil and gas? Cut their funding. I mean, there's all of these things that we can do, and the tools that we have in the House. The framers of our Constitution gave the House the purse strings for a reason, and we need to be using it.
Yeah, well, the other thing, your colleague Marjorie Taylor Greene met with Mike Johnson, and one of her demands was exactly that. Cut funding to people like Jack Smith. So, you know, obviously he's been benched now by this judge, but cut the funding to Jack Smith and all these special counsels and everything like that, because it wasn't in the spirit of the law.
There's so many things like that we can do. Like, I'm running around the floor trying to get signatures on a discharge petition because a bill that would give tax relief to many Americans across our country that have been affected by a natural disaster, because the majority won't bring it up. So I'm forced to do a discharge petition. Let's do things that help our own cause when we have time on the floor to do that. And that's not what's happening. I'm frustrated. Members like Marjorie Taylor Greene are frustrated. There's a lot of conservatives that are very frustrated. Why are we giving billions of dollars? I think we're up to $170 billion to Ukraine, and we don't want to give tax relief to Americans in my district who are affected by a natural disaster, Hurricane Ian. I don't understand it. It blows my mind.
Yeah, but $700 to the residents of Maui. Don't think we forgot about that one. I mean, that is like, that's insulting. You can't even rent a place for a week in that territory for $700.
No, and Maui was included in my bill. I mean, it's just another example of the things. Instead of helping Ukrainians, let's put America first.
Yeah. What do you say to Jack Smith right now if you're sitting across the table from after he just got benched by the judge?
I wouldn't say anything. I'd sit back and see what they're going to do next after the judge slapped him down. And something that your previous, I wanted to add on to what one of your previous guests said, they can't refile somewhere else because the jurisdiction of that case would be Florida, because the classified documents that were as issue in the case were in Mar-a-Lago. Yep. So they're not going to be, Jack Smith's not going to be able to now go to New York and forum shop or go to D.C. and forum shop because the jurisdiction of that case is in Florida. So he's stuck. Now, thankfully, we have some good judges out there in our federal bench that can make good decisions and see this for what it is, going after the person who's our nominee and a former president, 100% election interference, using the Department of Justice to go after their political enemy.
I hope this is the turning point, Congressman, where you have to actually show evidence of a crime before you pursue it. You can't go searching for it. Florida Congressman Greg Steube, we appreciate your commitment to freedom, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Stick around. More coming back.
They're the